they're water-soluble substances. Number two, they aid in dissolving desmosomes. Again, desmosomes are the intercellular glue that hold those cells together, and they're used for various skin conditions. So below, and there's many types of AHAs, but again, these are going to be some examples of the most common ones that you're going to see. So let's first talk about glycolic. We all know about glycolic. It's derived from sugar cane, and it really helps break down the intercellular structure. Keep in mind now, glycolic has the smallest molecular size of all of the AHAs. So it's been shown to really strengthen collagen fibers. Glycolic is also kind of a tricky one because it's not for everybody. And as we've talked about in some of the other courses, is that glycolic acid is going to be better for your normal skin to oily skin. Some of the drier or mature skin types or even sensitive skin types don't really do too well with glycolic. So that's one that, just to kind of keep that in mind before you really start playing around with it, especially when you get into higher percentages. The next one let's talk about is lactic acid. So lactic acid is naturally found in milk and sugars, and it's commonly used in skincare products and peels, kind of just like glycolic. So unlike glycolic, with it being more normal to oily, lactic acid is going to be that alternative choice for someone who has drier skin, someone who is a little bit more sensitive. It actually has more of a hydrating ability, and it has, which I love, is the skin lightening properties. So overall, it's more gentler on the skin. The next one let's talk about is malic. Malic is found naturally in apples. It has exfoliating and brightening properties, and it's also going to be another AHA that's very hydrating. The next one is mandelic, which is from bitter almonds, actually. It has lightening and hydrating properties. And the next one we have down is citric acid derived from citric fruits, and it's not very potent on its own, but what it does do is when you combine it with some of the other AHAs, it makes a really wonderful exfoliant. The last one listed is tartaric, which is found in grapes. And this is going to be one of your most mild AHAs. And again, just like with the citric acid, it's going to be best used in combination with other ones. So really start getting familiar with these. Even just go and do some further research on glycolic. Do some further research on lactic. Really start breaking it down further. I'm giving you really great key insights right here, and these are going to be key points that when you do your client education or you're talking about products and services that you're using in the treatment room, these are ones that you're really going to want to hit hard on when you're doing peels or you're doing facials that are including AHAs. Your client wants to know, okay, what is glycolic? Because most people have no idea what is lactic. What are the differences? When you can show that you take the time and you know the differences from these key AHAs, it is going to start separating you from other people. Aminohydroxy acid, also known as BHAs. So BHAs, couple key things to know are lipid-soluble exfoliants. The second piece is that they're good for acneic and oily skin types. We want to be really careful when someone has sensitized skin, they have very dry skin. Once you start introducing some of these BHAs in, You can have that effect where clients start seeing redness, irritation, flaking, especially when you start using these higher percentages in peels, or you're using a spot treatment that's from your professional skincare line that perhaps has a higher percentage in it as well. So just words of caution to be careful with them. They are excellent hydroxy acids. The main one that we all know is salicylic acid. So the sal is commonly used from 2%, which is very common, what we would see over the counter, to a 5% concentration. Again, it's very ideal for oily skin. So commonly used in skincare products for acne in the concentrations of 2 to 5, and it has a peel from 20 to 30%. Cool thing about the salicylic is it has anti-inflammatory properties and antibacterial properties. So another great thing for just some basic client education. The next beta hydroxy acid, I don't have it on here, but it is lipohydroxy, which is an LHA. So it's going to be in the same family as the salicylic, but there's a little bit of a variation. Again, it's a lipid-soluble, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, also making it a great choice for acne. So this one, what separates it from just a regular salicylic is it's going to attract to oil more than salicylic acid, but the salicylic acid is going to penetrate deeper than an LHA, which in turn, salicylic acid is always the preferred BHA. Good to know the differences though. Enzymes. So enzymes are so widely used, and there's so many great ones out there. They work by breaking down keratin protein, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. They remove dead skin cells. They do a great job of exfoliating the skin. And they can be known to soften lines, fade age spots, even out skin tone, improve overall texture of the skin. But they do require optimal conditions of temperature and pH to be effective. So let's look at this a little bit further. So there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of great types of enzymes that are on the market. They have two primary uses in the skin. So I'm going to break it down a little bit differently. One, for exfoliation is great use, and the second use is anti-inflammation. Certain enzymes are going to be effective exfoliants, and they can be more gentler than other methods, like using scrubs or doing a microderm on somebody. So I always, myself, I always like to start somebody with a basic facial, and if I'm moving that route, kind of depending on what the skin condition is, sometimes I'll move them into a series of enzymes in that treatment plan. So there's a lot of room to kind of play around in this whole enzyme family. Going back to the skin science, the upper layer of the skin is mostly made, as we know, of dead skin cells containing keratin protein. So what the enzyme does is it works by specifically breaking down that keratin protein, which results in that smoother texture of the skin. So look for fruit enzymes like papaya, pineapple, blueberry, cherry, cranberry. Oh my gosh, there's so many good ones, and there's so many good just within itself, specific professional skincare companies. I always say I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Some of my favorites are Skin Script. They have amazing enzymes, and they're really just so well known for their enzymes. I don't think they have any minimum order still at this point, so it's a very economical choice for an esthetician as well. So other enzymes, some found naturally in the skin, can function as a scavenger, per se, of free radicals, and protect skin really of oxidative damage. So enzymes can protect damage from the sun, environmental pollutants, and, which is really cool, even acne. So with like any ingredient, the upside of, there's always an upside, but there's always a downside. So the downside of enzymes, so far they sound pretty great, right? But unfortunately enzymes are very picky about their environment. They really require optimal conditions of that, which we just talked about in the slide, of that temperature and that pH. So when enzymes are removed from their natural environment, they really have a tendency to become unstable. That makes them a little bit more difficult to work with and challenging for chemists and skincare formulators to work with as well. So changes in the pH and temperature can really break down that enzyme too and make it less effective and less inactive when we're using it on the client. So it's also another problem with the enzymes too, is it's really difficult once they've achieved that to really get that consistency to maintain during shipping and storage. So just some things to keep in mind. Another quick thing that comes to mind is enzymes, like a lot of our active ingredients, they need to be kept in cool, dark places. So, and sometimes I'll even stick my certain enzymes in the refrigerator, as long as they're like in an amber colored, jar where they're light protected, but at least they're staying cool. Always want to look on the skincare company that you're using, you're getting your enzymes from, follow their directions. It's so important, and make sure you follow what the shelf life is, because each enzyme, depending on what fruit it's formulated from, one enzyme might only have a shelf life of 6 months, one might have a year, one might have 2 months. So you really want to be aware of what those are.
They're going to treat a wide variety of skin conditions, and they defend us from free radical damage, which is kind of that big player which kicks off that whole aging process. So let's take a look at the first one, the lemon enzyme. The lemon enzyme promotes dehydration in the skin. So this is going to be a great enzyme for someone who has skin on the drier side. You really need to boost up those hydration levels. Also, sun-damaged skin and mature skin as well. Those are going to be 3 great indicators. We often see lemon enzymes combined with kojic acid and arbutin to make them even more effective. So the next one let's talk about is coconut. Coconut enzymes are just such a great choice for estheticians, especially if you have a new client and you're progressing them slowly. I always say, progressively instead of being too aggressive. And coconut is just such a great way to start. Your client really feels like you're getting a great exfoliation, seeing a difference in their actual skin, seeing those results, but yet you're taking the time to learn their skin and see how they respond as well. So just for all skin types, it's a great exfoliation. The next one let's talk about is pomegranate. Pomegranate is going to be a little bit stronger on the enzyme scale. It actually comes from the plant, Pudica, excuse me if I say this wrong. So it's actually found in
It's more of a harsher enzyme, and a lot of clients couldn't handle it. Our students, it was burning their skin.
In the skin, and does a great job at just generally evening out the whole skin tone itself. Alright, so we've got lemon, coconut, pomegranate. Let's talk about blueberry. Blueberry, another wonderful enzyme, and really these are all just big winners. Blueberry is full of antioxidants and polyphenols, which is really cool. These polyphenols combined with these antioxidants here, they do a great job at brightening the skin in turn making it a great choice for a client who is suffering from discoloration, hyperpigmentation, but also addressing aging issues as well. So lightening, mature, dull, or hyperpigmentation. Next one let's talk about is cherry. So cherry, another one for brightening the skin, evening out the skin tone as well. It's going to be a little bit of a heavier enzyme, so normal to combination skin. This is not an enzyme, even the blueberry, not enzymes that you would want to start somebody on. And a good starter enzyme is going to be more your coconut, your papaya, and a raspberry. So these are, I would say cherry is going to be a little bit middle of the road. You already know, you've seen your client, you know how they're responding. The next one let's talk about is pumpkin. So pumpkin, this is going to be much further down on the enzyme scale, contains vitamin A, C, and E. So great choice for clients that are suffering acne. You get some really good results with using a pumpkin enzyme. So it's also going to address skin texture and great for normal to combo skin. Another just word of caution though on the pumpkin, because it is strong, it can create redness in the skin. And it's not something that you want to start a client on. You want to make sure that your client has nice resilient skin and they're going to be able to recover pretty quickly well and see the results from that pumpkin enzyme. Okay. The next one, the raspberry enzyme. Raspberry comes from the plant, again, and it is a lightener. So it's going to reduce inflammation, and it's also going to target hyperpigmentation, discoloration, in the skin. It's a great choice for sensitive skin or for clients that are suffering from rosacea. So, and we really want to be careful with rosacea as well, because we don't want to just throwing on any enzyme in the enzyme family on their skin. We want to make sure that whatever skincare company that you're using, if they are indicated, they can use those enzymes for rosacea, because everybody formulates a little bit different. Okay, so let's see, we did raspberry. Papaya is the next one. Papaya includes papain and carotene. So it's great for sensitive skin and another good choice for rosacea. It's nice and gentle. It's going to really help in starting to see some of those different skin texture issues that are going on. And then the last enzyme is passion fruit. So passion fruit is a really nice choice for clients that have aging skin, more mature skin, and they really want to, they really want to start seeing more tightening and firming in the skin. And it's not, you're not coming in for lasers or injections, or you're not going to have some big dramatic results, but over time, any of these enzymes really in the series, you're going to start seeing some results in client skin. So with the passion fruit, because this is quite an interesting enzyme, it creates dermal heat underneath the layer of the skin. So let's just say here we've got a layer of skin. We're putting it on the top of the product here, on the top of the strap coating right here.
Yeah.
What happens is, this is penetrating down right there through that strap coating into the top layer, but it's trickling down, and then down here we've got these little cells that are called fibroblasts. So when this heats up here, on our fibroblasts, so in turn, those fibroblasts come up and want to stimulate new collagen. It's a really neat process. And I use this example too for lasers, but we're working much deeper down. We're stimulating those fibroblasts. But you're still, even with the passion fruit, you're still, that heat is still entering down, well enough to get that fibroblast going in turn getting that new collagen and firming effect on the skin. Alright, so, and that's another one, no rosacea. Any kind, this is like a big no-no.
Because we're estheticians, don't really know how to spell.
It's not good for rosacea.
Can you spell
Rosacea, you want everything
What'd you spell
cool and calm.
It was on the previous video.
So that sums up some of just the common enzymes that you'll see on the market. Let's move on.
it? Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so I have a question. We put an enzyme on a client, and they start getting a reaction.
Spray water.
Anyways.
Cold water.
Always keep a spray bottle of water,
Yeah.
or one of your post-treatment that sometimes get
Post-treatment,
bombs,
yeah.
in your spa. Because if they have a reaction, I would say an enzyme does sting a little. If it's tolerable, it's fine. But if they're saying get it off, I can't handle it, spray water, and cool it down as much as possible and get it off as fast as possible.
Does that have you burn any skin?
So for me, I will do no. It just can't tolerate it. And then you have to keep on spraying water, because you can spray water, wipe it, and they still say they have some discomfort, spray some more water. Once you get it calmed down, then you can put the post-treatment foam on it. And that will just take care of it instantly. Okay?
Can you use the enzyme mask and do microderm?
No.
The ones that live around that.
You guys have to remember, enzymes is an exfoliating. Microdermabrasion is exfoliating.
Yeah. So
It's too much abrasion. And it depends on the enzyme too, because a lot of enzymes are more powerful than just a natural cleansing scrub or a scrub that you just put on your face.
So you
Like
can,
a sugar scrub, that's mild. Enzyme is higher, microdermabrasion is even higher.
so for enzyme and exfoliation, that part, would you just put microdermabrasion at that part?
No microdermabrasion. Think microdermabrasion, exfoliant, enzyme, exfoliating skin. It's too much exfoliating. Only one or the other.
So just like get rid of enzyme and exfoliate and just use the microdermabrasion if you don't want to do the enzyme or
You can
exfoliate?
use, if you don't want to do the enzyme, you can do microdermabrasion, but it's one or the other. Not
Okay.
enzyme plus microdermabrasion. It's too much for their skin.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
So you always have to remember enzyme. Now, it depends too, because the company, like some say masks, and it's not a mask.
Mm.
It's an exfoliating scrub. But for some companies like DermaQuest, used to have a pumpkin mask. It's not a mask, it was an enzyme, but they didn't put enzyme. So make sure any of your manufacturers is actually what that is. Enzyme could be the same thing. It could say enzyme, but it's not an enzyme.
Okay,
They kind of switch it around. I don't know why some companies do that, but just make sure it's actually an enzyme and that's what it's for.
okay,
And that's going to be on your SDF sheets for any of that.
okay.
Does that make sense? You can also keep aloe vera plant in your
I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah.
Retinoids. Oh, retinoids are so much fun. They are like the gold standard of anti-aging and skincare. And they have a lot of multi-functions. They're great for just exfoliation, turning the skin cells over, photo-aging, using them for pre-treatment, acne, so many different uses for retinoids. So we really want to start taking a look at them because there's so many different forms of retinoids that are on the market. Some being that are going to be more effective than others. So here are some of the let's talk about some of the most popular forms that are going to be available on the market. The first one is retinol. So retinol is the most popular form of the retinoid and is presented in many anti-aging skincare products. It's a potent anti-aging ingredient which deactivates the matrix metal proteins that breaks down collagen. So there's a lot going on there. But what it's really doing is it's increasing its cellular turnover and it's improving the skin's moisture retention. We have to be really careful with all retinoids, obviously, but retinol, we've said it before in skin conditions course, is that we never want to have a client that's just continuously on a retinol. We really want to have them on a nice regimen, using their retinol, for so many weeks on and so many weeks off. Everybody's a little different with what they recommend for that. Another great thing about retinol to keep in mind is it's really an ingredient that's only for nighttime use only. And if we're living in a climate that's got more of those more colder months versus warmer months, or whatever your current region is, a lot of people are more prone to get their clients on retinols during those colder months. If you live in a year-round climate that's warm, that's awesome, but then there's different ways to do that. You might want to tell your clients to be on that retinol during the week, during the work week. Have them on a Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday, and then they're going to be outside over the weekend. Get them off that retinol 24 to 48 hours before you know that they're going to be out taking up the sun. It's photosensitive, so it's not one that you want to play around with. You know that they're big sunbathers, or they just like being outside. So really be careful with it. It's a great product or ingredient when it's used in the right way. So getting back deeper into retinols, they're not to be used in conjunction with alpha hydroxy acids. The skin can become very irritated, and it can have quite a reaction if it does. So you want to be very careful in what you're mixing your retinols with, as far as what are your other products that your clients are using. And if your clients never been on a retinol before, some people are really, really scared of them, and I totally get that. But that's your job. That's why you're there, to help coach your clients and understand that retinol is actually a very safe ingredient when you use it in the way that I'm going to guide you to use it. So if you've got someone that's never used it, you want to start them maybe 2 or 3 nights only for the first week, or maybe even first 2 weeks, and then just slowly increase it from there. And never dive in deep to a really strong retinol. Always start them at like a 0.5%. You definitely want to just start slow and steady on this one. So some things to keep in mind: side effects of retinol. They can, when it's not used correctly, of course, but it can cause skin irritation and redness, flakiness of the skin. Any use of a vitamin A derivative can have any of those effects. And it's also not safe for women that are pregnant, because it has been shown to be associated with birth defects, and certainly not one that you would want a breastfeeding mom on either as well, because there's not enough research on that done, so not to play around with it. The next one, let's take a deeper look into, and this is going to be another really common one, is the retinol palmitate. And so it's really important when we start talking different retinoids. Let's break it down so you know the differences. The retinol palmitate is a combination of pure retinol and palmitic acid. Palmitic acid is a substance typically used in cosmetics as a cleansing agent. So it's got to be converted to a retinaldehyde, and then all trans-retinoic acids within the skin can be affected. So the retinol palmitate is the weakest form of a retinoid. However, if it is in a sufficient, like a higher concentration, it has the same similar effects of just using a retinol. So it's not one that if you see a product that has this specific kind of retinoid, I wouldn't say shy away from it, because it's got, depending on the concentration, it has a lot of those similar effects. Here's the problem with the retinol palmitate is it's really twofold. First of all, you're getting retinol that is bound to be a fatty acid. So each percentage or portion of a percentage you're getting of retinol is actually a significantly more weighty, bulky fatty acid. The second problem with retinol palmitate is that you never get the concentrations listed anywhere, at least not here in the US. It's true that it is illegal in the US to put concentrations with percentages on labels for a myriad of reasons, and that's meant to protect people. So, for example, like SkinCeuticals is SkinCeuticals retinol 0.5 and not 0.5%. So if you take a look at that, and you notice it just says 0.5 but not 0.5%. So there's many brands that will still let you know what's in their stuff by putting it on their website or their marketing materials. So there's still a little bit of way around it. You'll never see this with retinol palmitate though. And if you did, it had something to do, it would be something like retinol palmitate 2.5 to have the same efficacy as retinol 0.5. So see, it's kind of like a little conversion translation we've got going on there. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. And we have, and I went a little bit out of order here, but let's talk about retinaldehyde, because we were just mentioning retinaldehyde. Put simply, retinaldehyde, which often appears as retinol on the skincare label, also a vitamin A derivative, it's a precursor to retinoic acid. So in order for retinoids to work their magic and increase all that cell turnover, boost all that collagen production, decrease fine lines, decrease acne, minimize hyperpigmentation, all that wonderful stuff, they have to be converted into retinoic acid, which binds to skin cells receptors and elicits a call to action. So the more conversion steps required before retinoid can reach that end goal, the weaker and less potent it becomes, which is why the straight up retinoic acid you get with a prescription is far more intense than anything over the counter. Retinaldehyde is only one step away from reaching the end goal. It delivers stronger effects than its other over-the-counter counterparts. Which again, they require that additional conversion steps before they turn into that retinoic acid. Still at the end of the day, all retinoids have a similar effect on the skin. So they, I love them for anti-aging. Retinoids are a good pick for all ages too. And it's just like this super power ingredient. I really have no other way of putting that. So retinaldehyde is going to speed up that cell turnover. It's going to stimulate collagen production. It's going to keep those pores clear. And just like using a regular retinol, same protocol. You always want to start slow, few days on for the first week, build them up, and start them at the lowest percentage. And make sure that when they're using it, that they also have time off and they're not combining it with any other ingredients that perhaps.
What? It wasn't me. I wasn't over there.